Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth installment of All About Holly, where we are reading all the books Stephen King wrote about the character Holly Gibney. And we are on book number 4, The Outsider, the first book without Bill Hodges.
Oh, it's my book behind. Sorry.
And there we go. And if you're watching this, there will be spoilers because we're just not going to refrain from talking about the book. So, total open spoilers.
Yes.
So, now that we've got 4 books under our belt, quick question: how do you rank this overall in the books? Cliff, you want to start?
Did you say Cliff or Gareth?
Yeah, Cliff.
Sorry, I thought you said Gareth there. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, everyone, because I know that I'm the odd one out. And I know the way it's going to be, which is going to make this conversation a bit more interesting. Yeah. But this was my least favorite out of the 4.
Really?
But that's not saying it wasn't a good book. It was a good book. I enjoyed the book. Gareth has had enough already. I actually thought it was a really good book. The first half of the book was just brilliant. First 167 pages. I honestly thought it might be a 5-star for me. Suspenseful, exciting. And then something just happened. I don't know, something about the characters. Definitely not Holly. I adored the fact that she came into the story. But there was just too many characters for me, and I just, and then also the ending fell flat a bit. And I'm just going to say, for me, shoot out in Texas, kind of the encounter with this creature, and Holly to the rescue. Yeah, overall, it was a good book. It was fun, but 3-star for me.
Boy, you didn't like Mr. Mercedes at all. So
I did. I got 4 stars for that.
Oh, you did. What's the one you didn't like before this one?
No, I gave all 3 of them 4 stars, and I probably liked the last one the most. But I like this book. It's not a bad book. It's just not overwhelmingly positive for me, as seems to be for everyone else. So there you go.
All right. We got some meat in there to discuss a bit. Gareth, how do you rank this as the other books?
This is my favorite out of the 4 so far. So I really loved it. I think it's one of my favorite King books. So I've read probably nearly 30 books by him, so probably. So for me to rank it high means that I'm ranking it above some other really popular ones. But I really liked it. I thought it was just really nice to get another feeling. I haven't had a feeling like this for a while, where I couldn't stop reading it. I wanted to keep picking it up, and that was great. And we know he's a good storyteller, but I think with this one, it didn't seem like there was too much waffle. So sometimes he can go on a bit. And there was, and I did notice that I remembered when Criminale reviewed it, he said that there was too many repetition at the beginning, too much repetition at the beginning with people being interviewed by the police saying the same thing. And I think I can relate that a bit, but I'd say that it wasn't for that long. So yeah, a little bit, but we're only talking about 3-4 pages. I didn't feel like it was like a massive section that was too long. So I just don't think there was any real fat in this at all. I thought it was just really thrilling. It was really interesting. You wanted to know how it was going to resolve, and I really loved the premise. I like the fact that it was all kind of kept from the focus of the other characters and not the outsider. Because I think if it had been a lot of the outsider, I think it would have been a bit boring. I don't think he was as multifaceted as all the other characters. So I thought it was good that he was just there when he needed to be there. And I think he was a great villain as well. So again, because it wasn't too overdone, and it wasn't too much possibility of making a bad villain. I think it was really good the way he was put in there. And I just thought it was brilliant. Really, really thrilling and good stuff.
Well, you know, Gareth, it's a little getting a little ahead, but when you talk about all those police interviews, I kept questioning it until what he was doing. He really wanted to make his case against, oh God, I forgot his name already. The guy.
Yeah. I think he was pushing King was what King was doing was reinforcing constantly the idea that this was a popular guy.
It was a
And
popular
everyone
guy,
was
but also
freaked
that
out.
the evidence was just overwhelming. It's like they really, based on the book, they had a solid case.
But they all knew him as a coach. Everybody knew him and loved him as a part of the community. And
Yes.
and also in my travels, I saw, because I love watching interviews with King, and he said in an interview when this came out that the whole idea came from the idea that he wanted to do a book about someone that was accused of something horrendous, and the crime in this is horrendous at the beginning. Someone who's accused of this, who's immensely popular, the most popular person in town. That's what he wants to write. So I think that's why at the beginning that's been reinforced loads, because that was ultimately the main point of the book, the fact he was so popular.
Yeah, but I think that's the most successful point of the book. It's the first, as you say, 170 pages. It is brilliant. It's a brilliant crime procedural, a popular guy, full guy, and it's got a firm alibi somewhere else. And then for me, somehow, after that, things changed.
Well, I think once you get the other story, the other cases being connected and stuff like that, then it gets even more interesting, because you've got
for me,
the
it doesn't.
justification for why there's a potentially people that can be at the same place at the same time, and then they've got to resolve it. So yeah, I didn't have an issue with the rest of the book, but I think it just expands, doesn't it? And then he's like, okay, this is the idea. How am I going to play with it? You know.
Okay, for me, one of Stephen King's strengths for me is his characters and his character work. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you look at books like Stephen King's It and The Stand, and those books, I know I can remember all those characters. They're beloved characters for me. The only characters I can remember in this book, and I read it a couple of weeks ago, is Rolf and Holly. And you've got these other characters that, for me, not necessarily for you guys, they were forgettable. They were kind of, in comparison to other King books I've read, kind of just other characters with dialogue, and I didn't really care what happened to them. And one of my problems is that when I got to the end of the book, I know we're jumping a gun here, but you know that little sort of...
Oh, he froze.
Oh,
Is Gareth frozen?
No, I'm all right. I'm back. Cliff's back. Al's waiting to tell us his thoughts, but yeah, go on. Finish what you're saying, Cliff, about the ending.
yeah. I was just saying that when those characters died, I didn't really care. Whereas, look, if you look at The Stand, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but when certain characters died, I was like, oh, that really hurts. And if I
really felt it when they died in this book. I really did. I was really, really immersed in this book. Really immersed.
When it comes out to the popular guy, I was not expecting him to knock off that early in the book.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
Yeah, that was a shock. Yeah. That was a real shock. I think I put a message in the Bookster group going, what?
Yeah.
And there's a death later on that's the real surprise. And again, it's one of the minor characters in it, but I think the way he writes, you are affected by, or I was anyway. I was affected by one of the later deaths. And I think, there's a few shocks in this. It's not a very predictable book, I think.
But I still think that I agree with Cliff, is like, when you think about Stu, you think about Nick, and the girl in The Stand. I mean, you can remember Annie, you can remember them. And this
Lord Yes, Tom.
I can't. I didn't quite hear that.
Tom.
Oh yeah.
Lord Yes. Don't you remember that?
Yeah, but like you said, even Ralph, the main detective, wasn't really a very inspired detective. He was kind of off the shelf, pick out of any police detective book, But still, like, we'll go to Alan. Before I get to my opinion, how do you rank this in the overall?
I don't know. I'm not keen on like ranking and all
Okay.
that. So it'd probably be like second or third. Oh no, out of fourth. I don't know. Shoot. Second. What was the one where
You like the one with the author and the notebooks.
Right. I like that one. Well, I
That
like
was,
them all.
that was Finders Keepers.
Finders Keepers.
Yeah, the second one, yeah.
But it's been such a long time since I finished this. Luckily, I made notes, but Cliff's right. You know, I have to look at these notes and refresh myself. You think I'd do it before the show? There's a lot of gross out things, which King, he said something like, if he can't get you with psychological terror, he'll go with the gross out. He said something like that in an interview. So, like, he does. Let's see. He does die pretty early. And what is that chapter like? You know what chapter he dies in?
He dies about the first 100 pages, a little after 100 pages.
Are you talking about the suspect?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the
that whole scene is,
160, 170?
I like
somewhere
how
around
he did not confess, like even at the very end and all that. But anyway, yeah, when I was a kid, there was a horrific murder in Toledo, Ohio, similar to this, but not with a popular murderer, though. It's similar to the MO. Pretty
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Before I give you my ranking, I just want to say hello to everyone in the comments. We got Elaine, Anita Murray. Who could that be?
She's just going to say hello, that's all.
Ingrid, hi.
Hi, Ingrid.
He makes us suffer for the characters we like then die. Anita has a question. I haven't read the book, but saw the series. Would like to know how it compares to the book. Anyone seen it? I have not seen it.
I have not seen
No,
it.
but I was planning to see it because my wife doesn't read a lot, and we've got it available to us. So that she sees the story, I was going to suggest that we watch it. So I hopefully see it with my wife soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
So Ingrid liked this one a lot. I like the supernatural stuff along with the police procedural going.
Yeah. I was just thinking, because I'm just having a quick flick through, and I love the fact that you've got the El Cuco legend in it as well. So it's got this sort of
Shaped skin.
mythology and folklore in it, which I thought was really cool.
I kind of like, I'm going to get that in a second, but I would rank this 2. I think I like Mr. Mercedes. This second, sort of up there with Finders Keepers and End of the Watch, trailing. That's how I'd rank it.
Yeah.
But I think all 4 are really strong King books, though. So if you think about his work in general, I think you could recommend any of the 4 to people to read.
Yeah, the one thing is I have to say is you can't just pick up this book and read it.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff that you'd get if you read the other books.
Right. This really is a follow-up to the other 3 books. And
You can't read that before the Mr. Mercedes series. You can't. It spoils everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, but look, I did not like the book. I actually enjoyed the book. So don't get me wrong. And
I should have made notes when I was reading it.
I think with Gareth, the difference is just with me with the characters. I just didn't gel with them. Maybe. Yeah.
And I
also found that after the first 170, 200 pages, there was almost like a shift in the narrative. And it was almost like a change in the pace that didn't maybe work for me with the introduction of the supernatural stuff, which is normally something that I love. And with El Cuckoo, it's El Cuckoo, isn't it? Yeah.
Something, yeah. I was about to say is like, I think that's the first time I've ever heard of that particular. I don't know if he made it up just out of his head or if that was a real
It's
legend.
folklore.
Yeah, I've heard of the legend, but I didn't know much about it. So I know I've heard of the word El Cuco, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is based on kind of folklores and
Yeah.
kind of shapes. And I
And
know
so
a lot
if you
of
ever
people,
come across it. So it's always nice when you come across a new folklore in a book that you haven't been used 1,000 times before. And I agree with Ingrid. Is like I kind of like the mixture of the supernatural and the police procedural, and I did like it because the police, at least when the story start off saying no, it can't be supernatural. And them slowly having to come to the conclusion, like when Sherlock Holmes says, when you've eliminated whatever everything else.
Everything possible. You have to look at the impossible.
Right.
yeah, you don't think it was all a bit too convenient though?
I don't think it was written in a convenient way. I think they desperately try and not to believe it for ages. So
Right.
I think you can't call it convenient. I don't think that's the thing. King takes ages to get people behind the story. Holly's the only one that is really driving it for ages, and they're all going, "Well, we'll kind of put up with it, but we think she's a bit of a loon." You know, that I love that meeting that she had with everyone, where she was like, "This is my proposal. This is what I think is happening," and like some of them are like, "Yeah, right," you know. And there's only one of them going, "Well, just as Jeannie, I think the wife is the one that's saying, let's just run with this."
Yeah,
But she's also a great character. I actually liked her, the wife.
Yeah, she was a really good character.
Yeah, I think that
she was a little more interesting than the husband. Like she was like saying, you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, that scene where she flipped out and threw food all over. Like that was a trip.
Oh yeah. Oh hey Nim, hello.
Yeah.
I guess Nim was supposed to be here, but she's either babysitting or dog sitting. I don't know.
I believe, yeah.
But you know, if you have a phone, you can always pop in. We'll let you in.
But yeah,
So
I think there's definitely the sense all the way through this that no one really believes, that no one can understand what's happening for ages.
Yeah.
And then when Holly starts piecing it together, a lot of people don't believe her. And I think that's quite good because obviously it is a little bit weird. So it's nice you got people going, well, it can't be that. You know, we still think Terry's guilty. Don't know what you're talking about, you know. So, does anyone know the Edgar Allan Poe story he keeps talking about? William Wallace, is it called? No, not William Wallace. William Wilson?
I probably read it, but I probably read it early 80s, high school. So,
yeah, I'm going to read it and see what the comparison is.
I think I read it for our October a couple of years ago. In fact, I'm sure I did. Doppelganger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
funny. Funny, I've not heard of that one.
Oh, it's a good read.
Yeah.
Good one.
Two places at the same time and caught on video. I mean, that's like it's impossible.
Yeah, I love the fact that he was on video in that conference thing, and it was obviously, you know, it was like playing. He even asked the question. I was like grinning when I was reading about the fact he'd asked the question. It was like, this guy has got an awesome alibi, you know. But clearly they still didn't understand it because his DNA was on everything. So
yeah. And then is his brother killed, or is the brother shoots him?
Yeah.
And I didn't think he died. Then he dies. Like you.
No, he got shot. The police shot him, so he died right away.
I know, but I mean, it's early in the book.
Well, I guess the idea is that he sets it up, and then the story is the fact that these killings are going to carry on. So it's like people have to solve this because it's not about Terry; it's about the outsider. So
Right.
You know, they have to solve it, and they have to ultimately have to believe Holly.
It's also about Ralph and his feelings of guilt, and that he had to carry on with the case to try and because he thought he was actually responsible.
Knowing that he screwed up. I mean, that was an interesting thing as well.
Man, he did all of this stuff.
The thing is, Ralph didn't screw up. He followed. Ralph didn't really screw because he followed all the police procedures.
Yeah.
And, you know, based on the evidence, now, obviously, you know, I think the way he arrested Terry.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but it's in his own head. I
Well,
agree
I
with
think
you.
it's because, like Greg said, it's the way he was arrested. Like, because at one point Terry was saying, "Why didn't you just do it like quietly? Why have you done it so spectacularly?" You know, and that's the thing that he felt guilty about, wasn't it?
Mhm.
But he's feeling guilty. I agree with you. It's not that he should be feeling guilty. He did everything correctly, and his wife is telling him that. But for him, internally, he feels like shit. Basically, he's
Yeah.
my friend, and he has to now try and make amends and prove, that justice is done. So he carries on. So I don't think it's the fact that we should feel that he did anything wrong. He feels it within himself, and his wife keeps telling him, "Look, you were fine. You did what you had to do. You shot. You had to do it. You had to take the shot." But he feels terrible because this was a friend, and so yeah, he feels he was responsible, and that's why he carries on with the case. Am I right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a good setup.
It's a good setup. Yeah.
So Ingrid was saying, my husband is half Colombian, and they have superstitions that are somewhat like this. Okay.
Right.
So what do we think about the outsider? Because I was thinking about that. In a way, King is a little bit presenting them as a creature that this is how he feeds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And at one point, he even says, "I have to do this. I'm just eating."
right.
Yeah. If you think about it, Pennywise, I actually did a little bit of research for fun about the outsider. And a lot of people talk about comparing the outsider to Pennywise. They both feed. And some people even saying like the outsider is like a lesser version of Pennywise.
Okay.
And it's like if you think about the way the outsider dies, it's weak. They cave the head in, out come these maggots. I don't know. There was all sorts of interesting discussions online about comparing it, and not just about the creature, but comparing the book and it to the outsider, and that there are all sorts of things that happen. And if you think about it as well, they go down that cave, right?
Right.
He's in that cave. They find him there, and they destroy him in this cave. The same sort of things. If you haven't read it, sorry. A similar thing happens with it. But the two are very similar. But the outsider feeds on misery and human suffering, misery.
Yeah.
Whereas it is also feeds on pain and suffering and
Of kids.
yeah.
Well,
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Oh, Pennywise.
I thought the setting of a lot of the end was really visually interesting. You know, I could really see it and the way it was played out. Like I don't know, it was very vivid for me. All that stuff.
You like the Texas abandoned
The abandoned. Yeah,
Tea
I don't know.
house. That was
Yeah.
a good chapter.
I did.
Yeah.
I kind of like that too. I mean, the police detective who was done in by the rattlesnake, sort of.
Right. That was a cool shootout scene.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's definitely that was another thing where it was a villain that was vulnerable, you know, because he was using the bodies of real humans.
Right.
It meant the bodies were vulnerable, and I thought that was pretty cool. So in the end, you know, the outsider died because it was possible. It wasn't like a sudden, oh look, I've just done this just to end it. It was like actually all the way through it, you can see that it's possible. You know, I thought it was good.
Grossed out scene talking about the snake bite when I think it's Jack is on the couch and his leg is all effed up.
Yeah.
It's bulging and stuff. I think that was like chapter 13 of the snake bite and the shootout. There's in chapter 14 you're talking about the tea house. I have a note. Did you guys there's a diss about speed readers. Somebody mentions like they're missing things when you speed read. So evidently Stephen King's anti-speed reading.
Can I just ask you about rattlesnake venom? How potent is it? I don't know, from my side of the world.
Yeah,
But
I lived in Arizona for a while.
I would imagine if you get bitten in the leg with it by a rattlesnake, I don't know how potent its venom is,
I know
that
a
you're not going
little
to
bit
be
about
able to get to your feet and start running if your leg is swollen twice the size and your testicles and everything is.
Well,
how potent?
now the thing is, I am not an expert on snake venom, but from what I understand, is a rattlesnake. You can be bitten by a rattlesnake and live.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
now if you've got underlying health concerns and it's one bite, you might die. But a normal, healthy person, if it's bitten by one round, you're gonna live. Probably.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I was looking at that and going, how can he run down the hill with a gun and still shoot the gun and after being bitten by
It
that?
just made him more. It made him kind of maimed, didn't it? It made him more difficult to do what he wanted to do. wasn't
Right. It slowed him down enough that the other people could take care of the rest of it.
it? Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like you said about snake, it's like
It was a silly question. I just don't know much about rattlesnakes.
it's a good question. I did notice a little bit of geography in Texas where
I wanted to talk more about snakes, but go ahead. I lived in Arizona for 20 years. I know rattlesnakes and scorpions like my right hand. I've never been bitten. I've been bit by scorpions.
I have to go to a zoo to see a snake.
Yeah.
Down there.
now wait a second. Now wait a second, Garrett. You don't have snakes in England? No.
No, there's a supposedly, but it's very hard to find them. There's a green snake you can find. It's really tame, but no, not really. You don't really get snakes around here.
Gardener snakes or nothing.
Huh?
Gardener snakes, they call them, bro.
No.
It's like Ireland, no snakes.
Yeah.
Now South Africa, Cliff, I think has some really deadly snakes.
Oh yeah,
Well, that
We get some deadly slugs.
a black mamba. Yeah, black mamba will kill you pretty quickly.
I bet.
Also, boomslang is very deadly. Green mamba.
Isn't boomslang
Worm-
Australia?
boomslang-
I thought boomslang was Australia.
No, South Africa. In Australia, they got some very deadly snakes as well. I can't remember, but yeah. But boomslang, that means a tree snake in Afrikaans. And actually, it kills more people in South Africa. And the reason being is that because they're found in rural areas in the Cape, so they're more widespread where people are. So even though they're not as dangerous as a black mamba, they're going to kill more people like villagers, and so it's going to be more bites that are deadly.
Okay.
Yeah, some useless information for you.
Yeah. I was going to tell some useless information about scorpions, but I'm
Go on, tell us about scorpions.
Just that, I've been stung by a scorpion twice. And the first time it swelled up like a ping pong ball on my finger because I was doing like river rock at my dad's. One of his places, he had a big pool with a big hill, and we'd lift up the river rock and there'd be scorpions. The bigger a scorpion is, you got to worry about the small ones because the small ones can't control their.
The big tail. Big tail. That's what you got to worry about.
A lot of people think they're deadly. I used to kill them and shellac them on boards and mail them to friends back in Ohio to put on coffee tables during parties.
All right.
Yeah.
So Lane,
Good band.
great read. Nim, I had mixed feelings about this book. I actually got bored when it got supernatural, which made me sad.
Yeah, someone on my side, sort of.
Now, see, that's sort of a curious feeling. Is like, I really kind of liked Mr. Mercedes and Finders Keepers, that just were the detective stories, and I think King can do mystery stories very well, even though it's not what he's really known for, and especially End of the Watch. I never really bought the supernatural powers at End of the Watch. Just, and this one, I don't know. I could take this creature. I mean, he introduced it well enough that
Well, the difference is it's a supernatural character, whereas with End of Watch, it was a human that had been experimented on. So that takes more suspension of disbelief than a supernatural creature, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
Also, yeah.
Also, as a curiosity, is like this is a repeat of Finders Keepers, where you have the initial story go on for a couple hundred pages, and then you bring in Holly.
Uh-huh.
And again, this is what I thought of Finders Keepers. Did he initially write this book with Holly in mind? Or did he write 200 pages or whatever and say, hey, wait a second. These people...
Yeah, but I don't think she would have fitted into the first bit anyway.
She would not even mentioned in the first 200.
No, but if she was, he would have had to shoehorn her in because I don't think she fitted. She gets brought in because of where she is. That she's geographically located in a relevant place. And
Right.
I think if it had been brought in earlier, I mean, it might have worked, but I think it makes sense where she comes in.
But it's just an interesting stylistic usage to bring in major characters well into the book.
Midway.
Well, and kill off the main character after 100 pages or something.
160 pages.
160 pages.
6 pages.
I think I'm actually really enjoying Holly. She was one of the better parts of the book for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. Cool, yeah.
And I think in this particular book, her character development was brilliant. And my favorite part of the whole book probably was that first chapter with Holly on her own, going off investigating this place and, settling in for the night and just her quirks and her... I really enjoyed that chapter. I enjoyed that section of the book. But then other characters... I don't know.
I did too.
I enjoy her as a character. She's an interesting character. So,
how I'm trying to figure out she's not mentally disabled, or it's
Oh no.
No. I think she's a little bit OCD and
OCD is what we think it would be the
And
OCD is a big one.
and emotionally.
Yeah, but maybe on the spectrum of autism if she's a little bit funny socially and that kind of thing.
Personality too.
And we're going to probably find out very much why she is like she is when we get to the novel.
Yeah, maybe.
That will explore her childhood and her... Well, I hope so, because if King doesn't do that, I'm going to be very upset. Because if he introduced the
I
character...
think it might be good to keep it mystery, though.
We know her mother was just overbearing, and we know that Holly, had some issues as a girl, and her mother made it worse.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah,
I get the sense that in this book, I think he's acknowledging to himself how much he likes Holly. Like in the other bits, in the other books, like definitely in the first one, Mr. Mercedes, she's just there. And then I think he starts to really like writing her stuff. And by the time you get to this point, I think literally the second half of the book is all her.
Right.
And I think he's really enjoying it. I get the sense that there's something between the lines that makes me think he's really enjoying writing those bits. And I think this is the first book where that's really obvious.
Well, it comes clear to me. It's like you hear about authors doing this when they're writing books, and they think they have characters, and they say the characters take over. But all of a sudden, it's like, wait a second, you're not supposed to be doing that. But the characters have the life of their own.
Yeah,
and I can really see that as developing this book. It's like in the first book, she's really very minor. Even though she played a crucial role, not important as a character. And it's only when you start coming out a little bit in Finders Keepers, a lot more, and watch it now, it's going really well. And you said, like Liv said,
she was the main character really, because the other main character dies so early on, and then from then on, it's her book.
You see, now that's my problem. Because Holly is awesome. Holly is my favorite character in the book. Ralph,
it's her book,
whatever. But then Holly surrounds herself with this team of characters that she only really kind of, I don't even know where they come from. There's one bouncer from a strip club. There's this.
Yeah,
and
but
there's
that's
this.
because that's not because
What I'm saying is that it's just characters that are just with Holly, and then they get killed off. And I'm like, do we really even need any of these characters? Let Holly go and
yeah, because it was all part of the police procedural stuff. It was to fill the gaps. She couldn't have done it all as by herself, could she? So it was a bit weird. And to be honest, if you wanted every single character to be developed as much as Holly, it would be about 2,000 pages long, and that would be boring as fuck, wouldn't it?
I'm just pulling your leg. I know how much you love this book. I'm just saying
I'm just answering what you're saying because you are saying what you felt about the characters. That's cool, but I personally think that they were there for moving the goalposts around and for the plot. And sometimes you need characters to do that, you know, and you can't develop every character because it's.
So you're not going to get Stu and Fran and these unforgettable characters in every book that he writes, right?
Well, it's very large, isn't it?
Well, both The Stand and It are really big books.
Yeah, and you couldn't do all that in that size book.
No, you can't. No. So maybe it needed to be longer to really fill in.
If you felt like that, I thought it was just right. But if you feel like that, then it would have to have been longer to satisfy what you wanted out of the book.
Yeah, because for most Stephen King books that are 5-star for me, it's about
said, King needed the characters for the body count.
Yeah, we're getting into comments like, didn't like the ending.
It was apropos.
The ending was cool, but it was kind of headshot. Okay, let's go and kill the baddie in the cave. Sorry.
Well, Nim's more afraid of the spiders than the snakes in Australia. They got some unpleasant spiders.
They get some big nasty spiders there. I was telling you before the live stream that I'm lucky enough to have visited Australia, and there are deadly creatures there.
Well, they mentioned, like, in Australia, more than any other country, there are more deadly creatures in Australia than any other country.
Yeah, more than South Africa, more than Africa. It is one deadly country to live in. I think Holly is important.
Yeah, Holly is important because there is something about her that connects to the supernatural. Yeah. She couldn't come in until that stuff needed checking into.
That's a very good point.
It is a good point. And she said, like you said, she was brought in to just investigate a side issue of, like, the other issue of, like, well, there's this other issue where people were in the same place twice.
Yeah, same MO, as they say on the police thing. Yeah, same MO. I'll tell you what was interesting. I don't know if you guys felt like this, and I think Cliff probably did because of how much he loves the Holly character. But had this been the fourth book, it was so exciting when she comes in. It was like, oh my God, it's Holly. And it was like a really genuine, like, oh wow, this feels really good that she's in the book. And I don't have an issue with where I think she should be in where she is in. But I remember feeling really excited that she was in it. And that is because this is the fourth book we've read with her in. And it's very unusual for someone to keep coming back to the same character a lot, especially for him as well. And I think it's really that the payoff is that we're like, oh my God, there's Holly, you know. I think it worked.
I think people knew going in. I mean, the thing is, did they say Holly's coming in any part in the? I don't remember seeing Holly mentioned.
Yeah. I knew she was going to come in. Obviously, and I knew when. Right. But it's still.
Well, this is all about Holly Group, isn't it? This is all about Holly Group. So we knew that she was in the book.
The initial readers who picked this up may not have known.
Yeah.
Now, see, that would be the other issue. Is, like I said before, you really need to read the Bill Hodges books before this one.
Yeah.
There's just so much background that goes on and so many spoilers.
Can I just tell you a little anecdote about this book that's got nothing to do with what we've just been talking about?
Go ahead.
It's you might find it interesting. It's quite funny. As you would probably guess from the amount of King books I've got, that if I find one in a secondhand shop that I haven't got, I'll go, oh my God, brilliant, I'll buy it, right? So that's why I've collected lots I haven't read yet, blah, 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 blah. And the amount of times I've found one quite cheap has been great because he's such a popular author. You can find a lot of his secondhand stuff quite easily, right? So I saw in hardback, I saw the Outsider in hardback for £2, right? And I couldn't believe it. It's like, oh my god, this is mental. This is so cheap, and it's pretty much a new condition hardback. I thought I've got to get this, so I got it. Very excited. Thought this is the best find ever. It wasn't such a great find because it was all in Italian.
Oh no!
How did you not notice the title? Was it the?
I just know the title said you're the Outsider, and then it was obviously the text inside. I didn't bother reading the back. I didn't bother reading the back. I just bought it. I was like, yeah, and I just bought it straight away. Got home, I was like, oh shit, I can't read this.
I've done
It's
that
Italian.
reference books on Joyce. I did that once. Got a book in German.
You can't just leave it. You can't just give it to a charity shop because that's cruel, isn't it? Someone else is going to have the same problem. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do?
Oh, April Fool.
The moral of the story is always open the book first.
Just show it off on your shelves, you know.
Yeah, I've got an Italian version of this.
Uh-huh.
Well, I once went into a secondhand shop.
I sometimes buy books, even if I own them in another format, because they're a really nice edition. Where'd Gareth go?
They swap positions.
There you go. You're back.
It's me.
Hold on. Let me.
Oh, that's
let
a good
me
point. Hold on a minute.
um,
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, Gareth, I once went into a secondhand bookshop.
I think everyone's seen this, but this is.
What's going on?
Oh, where's Gareth? This is like the original paperback of the
Night Shift.
Night Shift, but it has this really good.
Goodness, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That was on your video. I saw that on your video.
Yeah, and it only cost $2.24. It's a steal.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know where Gareth went?
don't know. I just want to give us a quick story, Greg,
Sure.
about actually opening the book before you buy it. I went into a bookshop, and secondhand bookshop, gorgeous book. I can't remember what it was. Went home, opened the book. About 20 of the pages were missing in the middle of the book.
Oh, wow.
So the second hand, but I literally bought a book that was unreadable because
Right.
pages missing.
So,
Sometimes you open the book and scribblings everywhere. That's impossible to read the book.
yeah.
I see. I do that when I see like good books like this one. I didn't bother looking in. Of course, this is Stephen King. People are not going to annotate Stephen King too heavily. But I've done that where I bought a used book, literature book, and it's some student edition where they've made scribbles and notes and comments, and I'm going like,
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
But Cliff, at least you didn't start reading it and then discover the missing pages.
Yeah, it's the worst.
With this show.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And it's happened twice to me.
Mm,
And I literally could not read the book. It's no point.
no.
Half the book
Right.
is missing. Yeah. So you can't
Tell
exactly.
you what,
I guess if you had your receipt, you could take it back to the store and say, "Are they
I
going
don't
to?"
know. Maybe, but they're probably going to say rubbish. Report it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's too bad.
I was going to say that because I do get King stuff whenever I see it. When you came up with the idea of the All About Holly project, I had all the books already except for Holly, so that was pretty cool. And that was just because I just bought them randomly, so I hadn't read any of them.
Oh,
I
yeah, I
have them
saw
all.
that message. I saw that message. How did your wife take that message?
What
That
message
you
is
had,
that?
you had to persuade her.
People buy
You had
Holly.
to persuade her that you were ordering Holly.
Oh yeah, did my wife appear on there?
No.
Oh no, on Voxer. Yeah. Yeah, I said I need to order Holly.
You had to make sure that she understood that it wasn't actually
Yeah,
Yeah.
or an AI robot or something.
I do not own Holly yet.
Me neither.
I do own our next book.
I do
Yeah,
too.
I've got that.
I got it
Yeah,
on my
mine's
Kindle. I got it on my Kindle.
If it
Now,
bleeds-
I guess we're sort of winding down on the actual discussion on this book. Or is there anything else you want to comment on this particular book?
Well, I just want to say, don't get
Go
me
on.
wrong, that I did enjoy the book. So it seems like I might have come across like I did not enjoy the book. I actually did enjoy the book, and it was entertaining. The ending for me was a little bit underwhelming, to be honest, compared to some of Stephen King's other endings. It was a little bit, yeah, I agree with Gareth in terms of the set.
Nope.
All
Is
gone.
Cliff frozen? No.
What?
And I see, Gareth. My problem is I kind of like this ending. My problem with Stephen King is he usually ramps up the volume too high in the ending of most of his.
Yeah,
books.
this is much more subdued, isn't it? This ending.
Yeah, I like it when he's a little more subdued and like keeps the story under control. Now I know I'm going to mention Gareth's favorite book, the 11/23/63.
Yeah.
And I got so annoyed with him at the ending of that book. It was going along really great. And I won't give a spoiler, but I'm saying, okay, just tone down.
I think you've actually. I think you've mentioned the ending of that book every single video we've done. I think you're really upset by the ending.
well, it's the example of King. He just like no self-control.
I think if you're going to take anything away from that book, it would be like about 2/3 of the way through. You could shave off about 100 pages. But I like the ending, but a lot actually. I like the ending a lot, but I do think it's too big. But only like from the middle, like somewhere 2/3. 2/3 of the way through. But yeah, I think the good stuff makes up for the bad stuff. I think it's a fantastic book.
Yeah, me too. I loved it.
I've got to come to terms with the fact that I'm an old school King. I like his old stuff. I like his nasty horror stuff. I like
That's
his
pretty
big bad,
common, Cliff.
and I like his big
Cliff,
bad
that's
monster.
very common. Most King videos slag off the new stuff, so you're in good company. Loads of people slag off the new stuff.
New stuff. 11/22/63 are my top 10. I love 11/22/63, and I love a lot of his new stuff. Some of the books in Paul Hodges' trilogy were actually very good, but I'm not as much of a crime mystery kind of guy.
Yes.
I think I'm more kind of horror, vintage horror, old school horror.
Yeah,
And
I would say it seems like if you think about what he's been writing lately, he doesn't. He's because he wrote Fairy Tale as well, which was obviously a fantasy story. And he's written this crime stuff. The Institute was a kind of science fiction crime crossover thing. Bit Stranger Things.
I love Institute. I love
I really like Institute. Yeah, but it's not like proper like sort of classic 80s horror, is it? So I think he is going. He's doing different things, isn't
a
he?
lot darker. In my opinion, the Institute goes to places that are a lot darker with those kids. Then this
But it's
book
not.
even
But it's still
goes
a bit different, isn't it? It's like the ones he wrote for the Hard Case Crime series are different as well. It's like he's not just like thinking like along the lines of Christine and Carrie and Cujo and all that sort of it and like Salem's Lot. That seems to be not as much of his thing anymore.
Yeah. Although I think the Institute is much closer to that than this book will ever be. I don't think he takes the creepiness and of the outsider and the menace, and he doesn't take it that far. And that seems to be the positive for all of you, that he doesn't take it too far. I like the books where he takes it all the way. I just do. That's because I love horror more than anything else. So even though I appreciate the crime, murder, mystery, especially the first half of the book was just phenomenal, then it just kind of lost pace for me a little bit. The characters kind of was okay. It was entertaining. But I prefer his
That's
more.
what Nim said as well. Nim agreed with you.
And that's why we all relate to books differently. Nothing wrong with that.
So now I guess I don't know, Cliff. There's a book someone mentioned, Revelry or Revival.
Revival, yeah.
I haven't read
That's
that.
supposed to be really
I've
good.
heard one person say it was really good, and I've heard some people say it's really bad.
Well,
Oh.
that's going to be brilliant for Everything is King. But I've heard it's very good. I heard the ending is absolutely brutal. But I don't know. I haven't read it.
Okay.
Well, I look at a lot of YouTubers like rankings of King books, and that comes up high quite often.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then after Holly, I think I should look that up.
Well, I'm going to do I don't know if I've told you. I think I might have told you guys, but I'm doing a project where I'm going to make sure I read every King book that I own by getting the viewers to vote for the next King book I'm going to read.
That's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be called Vote for the King.
Dark
Basically
Tower.
playing.
I'm
I'll
buddy
vote.
reading. I'm buddy
I'll
reading. Pet
Read the
Sematary
Dark
with
Tower.
MJ.
Sorry.
I'm buddy reading Pet Cemetery with MJ.
Okay, that's a good. That would be. We have a comment down below. I'll just pop this up a little bit ahead of everyone else, but you guys should do a joint top 10 King. I don't know if I can do that because I really stopped reading most King books. Mid 90s is when I really. It used to be up into the 90s when every publisher book I used to buy it and read it, and then I read Needful Things. And I just saying like kind of meh. And then like what was the one like Insomnia or something out came right up, and that's when I stopped being a constant reader. I just like I can read something else, and so I probably couldn't do a top 10 because he's published so much since then.
But you can do a top 10 of the ones that you've read, because
Of the ones that I've read, earlier ones, yeah.
Because you can, I mean, it'd be a shame if everyone's got to read 60 books, well, about 80 books before they can do a top 10, isn't it? So
Some
you have
people
every right. You have every right, Greg, to do a top 10 if you want to.
I've almost done 60, so I've done a top 10. But I want to read a lot more. I want to read one a month until I finish everything is written.
Yeah, so maybe we might align sometimes. I tell you, Greg, have you read the Hard Case Crime ones?
I have read one of them, but I have not read all of them.
Have you read Joyland?
I have not.
No.
I have it on my shelf, but
It's really good. It's really good. That's Stephen King in romantic mode.
That is a beautiful coming of age story. I love Joyland.
Someone
It's
sent me that and gave it
stunning.
away. I thought it was YA.
Someone said it was YA.
They mailed it. They sent me the book. They mailed it to me, and I gave it away. I thought it was YA, and I wouldn't like it.
It's not YA. It's not YA. It's not. I don't see it as coming of age either. Actually, Cliff. I think it's a bit.
nostalgic. It's nostalgic, coming of age, making friends, learning how to love. In this fun fair, broken up with his girlfriend, having to come to terms with that, and all the while, that murder mystery kind of going on at the same time.
Yeah, the murder mystery thing is quite a small part of it, isn't it? Because I think more of it kind of kicks into gear halfway through when he meets the woman that he ends up having a relationship with.
Yeah, but it's got those vibes, kind of coming of age, nostalgic kind of vibes.
Tell you what, Cliff, this has got stronger horror elements than Joyland.
Yeah,
I'm gonna finish up the Holly series, and then I'm gonna take a Stephen King break, probably for a couple months, and just like pick up something else.
touche.
But I want to go back to his older books, and read some of those. Let's just catch up on some comments. Then we talk about the body count. Cool edition. Nim annotated Chandler Morrison. Ooh, that's an interesting. I've read Dead Inside and The Western. I read 2 Chandler Morrisons. Elaine, this has been fun. I'm off to see if my library has Finders Keepers. About the ending, is it possible that a piece of the monster could have attached itself to someone to keep it going?
Yeah, I think it is an open-ended ending, actually. Yeah, I think it does appear that the monster could still be around.
You had all those maggots coming out, and you wondered if one of those maggots was.
Isn't there a scene? There's a scene where one of the coppers is is experiencing something weird as well, isn't it? Right at the end.
The one that got shot. Maybe?
Yeah. I can't remember what
All I
happened. But
do is they're coming out of the cave quickly to get away from the maggots. And the maggots were disorientated, so they couldn't actually chase after them. So they were dying. That's what I remember.
but there was a scene afterwards, which was a little bit like a weird and dreamy kind of thing. That was, it sort of laid a hint that it might still be around. I think.
Well, I think Stephen King's gonna at this point leave most of his books open to continuing if it gets really popular and there's a lot of demand for it. So always leave an out or an in.
He doesn't seem to be running out of ideas though.
All right. So
Owen King can write a book about it.
yeah. T-Town
Joyland.
says Joyland was the best of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a 5-star review.
I saw a YouTube video where Stephen King and Joe Hill each read a paragraph from each other's books. Joe Hill read a part of the Institute and found it disgusting. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I'll have to try and find that. That's cool.
Show me that video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for people who are still watching, we said next month, If It Bleeds. Now, If It Bleeds is just a novella in this connection or collection. It is 200 pages, so it's just a teeny little novella. I think just for purposes of discussion, we'll just discuss the novella. If it bleeds, and if you want to read the whole book, you're welcome to read the whole book. But for purposes of discussion, we will stick to just the Holly novella.
So it's not going to put me into this terrifying slump that I was in last month. It's reading slump.
You were in a slump?
A little bit, yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I read 8 books, which is below par, but yeah, wasn't too bad.
That's good for me. If I read 8 books in a month, that's good for me.
Yeah. No, it was a busy month. But I did feel a little...
you do have this thing, like a family and a job, and
I got 2 jobs and a band.
you have a band too. That's right.
I've got a gig tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. So Ingrid is going for May. If It Bleeds. Actually, this is April. I know we're in April, but that's because we were delayed a week or so getting this video out for scheduling purposes. So this is April, and who knows? It could be delayed until May because life does happen.
Indeed.
I mean, to be fair, because it's only a short story, we could even do it before the end of the month. We could do it like in 3 weeks or something.
Well, my goal right now is still read this at the original last Wednesday of April.
Okay.
So it's 200 pages. I mean, that's pretty doable for me. Depending how fast, 1 night, 2 nights, something like that.
Yeah. And hope we can get everyone on the show next time.
Yes, I would like to get
It'd be
Nim
nice
back.
it'd be nice to have everyone that's in the group that's been doing it with us to be like at least one of them, maybe the last one or something, to have everyone in it if we can't do it every time,
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hang on, April, I believe. There we go. Okay, well, do we have anything else to discuss in here, or just?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. That was awesome. It's fun.
Because apparently King's got a new short story collection coming out this year, isn't he?
Oh,
Good.
That's pretty
But
cool.
I'm a long way from that.
That's kind of curious. When someone said about your favorite top 10, what would people's top 10 favorite King short stories be?
Oh,
Now, again,
I've got a very weird one, but it's very personal.
go for it. What would be your favorite short story?
It's personal on a level because of my brother and what happened to him. And it's called Willa. It's called
It's called what?
Willa. Willa.
Willa.
It's called Willa. 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 Willa and I think it's from Everything's Eventual, and it's a story about this train station and these passengers are not going anywhere. And it's kind of this very gentle sort of ghost story, but it has connotations that are very, very personal to me.
Okay.
I found it just hit me very hard. So yeah. But look at that, Willis.
I've read that collection, but that story didn't stand out
Yeah.
to me.
I've read some of them, but I
It's
haven't read.
basically a story about death. It's a story about death, but I'm not going to say anything more. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
But it's very, very interesting. It's a very interesting story. And then there's all the other usual ones of Skeleton Crew. And I don't know. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I'd have to reread Skeleton Crew because I know Night Shift better, but I have read Skeleton Crew, but a long time ago. I was going to reread it anyway. But yeah, top 10 short stories. I have to delve again.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's very good at short stories.
I have
think I
a couple that would. I don't know if this is a weird one, but I'm fond of Mrs. Todd's Shortcut.
Yep, that's a weird one. I think I made a list. I either made a list of his short story collections, ranking his collections, or short stories, or both. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if this Willow story is in Everything's Eventual. It might also be in, what is some of his other later ones? Can't remember.
I've got a favourite novella.
Yep.
So he does these books which are like 3 or 4 novellas in the same book, and my favourite out of those that are slightly larger than a short story, but not a book, not a novel, and that's Shawshank Redemption. I love that very much.
Okay.
Best film ever.
The Rita Hayworth poster.
Yeah.
I read that, but I read it when it was a brand new book. And I remember like getting the book out of the library and new collection, and so that would have been the 80s. Must have been the 80s.
I like a
Yeah.
lot of Richard Bachman stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sinner.
I like Thinner.
Yeah, Thinner.
I wasn't crazy about the note.
And then Running Man.
It's in my top 10, but it's a funny novel. You touch somebody.
Gypsy Curse.
Yep. Okay, so Ingrid is going. Adios. Anita, Willow was a great read, and Nim says she's going to have to find that one. But we'll have to find out what collection it's
Yeah, me
in.
too, Willow.
I don't think it's Everything Eventual. I think it's one of his newer collections, but I'm not sure if it's from Everything's Eventual. I remember, but it's not a favorite. It's not one of the well-known ones. It's by
Well, if it's about
Anita
those
says
things,
it was in Just After Sunset.
Sunset. Yeah.
I've got that, so I can read with that. I'll read it, Cliff, just to because of what you said.
It's just
Well, hello, Lee. Sorry, I'm late. Not feeling well. Too bad. Lee, we're just wrapping up here. So, unfortunately, if you have something to say, get it in quick.
But Lee's in the group. Lee is Lee going to appear on screen at some point?
Lee's in the End of the World Book Club. I don't think she's in the Holly.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm getting confused.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. I really like it. Next end of this month, If It Bleeds, and then finally the last book in May with Holly. And I don't own that one yet, so I'll have to.
Tell you what, though, it'd be really nice if we read all of them and we just think they're, regardless of which ones are better or worse. It'd be nice if we all think they're good. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Well, so far they're at least all solid. I mean, there have been no turkeys in the group so far.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Lee. Well, goodbye, everyone. Have a great night or afternoon.
I was going to say something. Go on, Al.
Ralph reappears in it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Ralph's back.
you've peeked at the book, the story.
No, I haven't read it yet. I just peeked at it.
You just peeked. All right. Like I said, I'll have to squeeze it in. I got a heavy reading month. I'm doing Les Miserables, and that's just I won't finish it in 1 month. Believe me, it's too long.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone.
All right. See y'all.
Thanks, guys. It was
Yeah.
awesome. Take care. Take care.
Bye.